Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this evening's ordinary council meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you for your attendance tonight. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge former councillor Georgia Johnson in the gallery. Item 3 is announcements from the presiding member. So this evening we recognise former President, Councillor Neville Davies. I wish to recognise the passing of the former Shire of Bayswater President, Mr Neville Davies. Mr Davies served as a councillor from the 24th of February 1979 until 1984 and was the Shire President from 1979 until 1983. I extend condolences to Mr Davies' family on behalf of the City of Bayswater councillors and all staff. Item 4 is attendance. Councillor Ostaszewski has provided an apology for tonight and all other councillors are present in the chamber this evening. The next item is applications for leave of absence. Councillor Ostaszewski has provided a request in writing for a leave of absence for the 22nd of June 2026 until the 19th of July 2026 inclusive. Are there any other councillors who would like to apply for leave? Councillor Sutherland.
Yes, I'd like to apply for leave on the following dates, the 28th to the 31st of May inclusive, and then the 28th of June to the 19th of July inclusive.
Sorry, do you mind just repeating those second dates?
28th of June to the 19th of July.
Thank you. No one else? Can I have a mover and seconder to accept? Move Councillor Loiacono, seconded Councillor Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? That is carried. So item 5 is disclosures of interest. Councillors, do you have any interest to disclose? Councillor McDonald.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. Just in regards to 10.5.1.1, the food business assessment document, I also own a restaurant in the city. It's an impartial interest and I'll stay in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 declarations for this evening. Item number 10.4.1, development application, proposed paddle courts additions to Bedford Bowling Club. I gave a deputation at the meeting of the 26th of the 8th, 2025, OCM in support of zoning change, which is related to the development application. After discussing this with the governance team, I'm satisfied this is an impartial interest. I'm also a member of the Bedford Bowling Club as well. They're both impartial interests and I'll stay in the room. The second one is for 10.4.2, proposed change of use to unhosted SCRA Lot 800, 1 Mangini Street, Morley. My employer has a financial interest with a client which may have an association with the applicant. Again, after discussion with the governance team, I'm satisfied that it is impartial interest and I'll be staying in the room.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. So we'll now move on to item 6, which is public question time. Councillors, the City has received questions in writing from 5 members of the public this evening. The questions and responses are listed in your run sheet and I will take those as read. These questions and responses are also available on the City's website and will be provided in the minutes for this meeting. So members of the gallery, I'll first call for questions on items on this evening's agenda and then I will open to questions on items not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your questions and keep in mind that you are limited to 3 questions. Would someone like to come forward with a question on this evening's agenda? Yes. Please come forward.
My name's Andrew Barry. I'm a resident of Bayswater, and so I'd like to ask a question on item 10.3.1, cul-de-sac of Rosher Place. So Goldmead, adjacent to it, is a local access road. It's got significant vertical gradients. It contributes to traffic travelling at speed amongst school-age children walking to school. How has increasing traffic to Goldmead been considered as improving the safety of the local road network?
Thank you for your question, and I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, in terms of increasing traffic, I'm assuming that's if the cul-de-sac goes ahead and there's a redistribution of traffic onto the surrounding streets. So in terms of Goldmead Street, the road has got capacity to carry further traffic on it. I do understand that some of the residents in that area, in particular on that street, are concerned about increased traffic and what that means in terms of the impact on their properties and their ability to use the street. But however, the local access street does have additional capacity in it to be able to carry additional traffic if traffic was to go down that street.
My second question is, have road safety audits, topographic surveys or traffic surveys been carried out in support of the proposal, noting that sightlines, safe intersection sight distance at the intersection of Goldmead and Rush are highly compromised due to Derby Street and the vertical design of Derby Street?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, those the types of studies that you've mentioned there, it has not been carried out for that street. Like I said, if there's a redistribution of traffic, we're not talking about a high number or a massive increase in terms of the numbers of vehicles along that road, and that perhaps wouldn't warrant undertaking those studies because we don't believe that the traffic will be as great as perhaps maybe some people would envisage. If there were any problems, then we'd have a look at that and see whether there's other measures we could do along that street if there were issues.
And my final question on the matter, how is this proposal being considered with respect to proposals to signalise Garrett Road and Stone Street? This has the potential to make Goldmead the de facto alternative to Guildford Road, as it will be a main north-south connector through the area, allowing rat running all the way through to Garrett Road.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, the signalisation of Stone Street and Garrett Road is primarily a road safety issue in terms of vehicles trying to turn right into that intersection or turning right out of that intersection. In terms of rat running or increasing traffic to the point where other streets such as Goldmead being impacted, I mean, there potentially could be rat running, but we are doing other treatments in that area. We're putting low-cost urban road safety program treatments in the area to try to stop rat running and to also slow down the traffic in the area. So we've got a broader road safety strategy in that area. It's not necessarily just focusing at signalisation that's going to impact on particular roads. We are looking broadly in the peninsula area to reduce traffic and reduce rat running. So in terms of the impact of the signalisation, we do look at the area broadly, and we don't think there's going to be any major issues in terms of those signals on Goldmead.
Am I permitted to ask for clarification on a response?
Sorry, clarification.
Yes, to the response provided. Am I permitted to ask for clarification on the response provided?
On that last response?
Yeah.
So there was a part that you weren't clear on?
Yes, or I'd like to ask, confirm the response.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you noted all this, that it won't increase traffic, but there's no baseline studies carried out. So it's all speculation, isn't it?
Is that the question? Is the question just whether there were baseline studies carried out? Because we're not entering into debate.
Yeah.
It's just whether there was baseline studies carried out?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, if we're talking about the potential cul-de-sacking in that area, I mean, there's a redistribution of traffic. We don't think that that the volume of traffic that's going to redistribute to the other roads are going to cause those roads to be overloaded. There will be extra traffic. We're not denying that, but probably the quantity of extra traffic probably won't be as great. That will cause too many issues. If there were, we'd look at the situation and we'd put other measures in place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does any, please come forward.
So it's a question and a comment.
Sorry, if you could just state your name and suburb.
Stephen Lim, Bayswater. It's just in response to that. Probably there's going to be a question, but we live on the street. So if there's no assessment being done, I've been living in the area since 1965. So I've been living there for over 60 years. I've been living on Goldmead Street for 8 years now. And we see the traffic increase. But the question, I suppose, is have there any other alternatives been thought about, like closing off the end of Goldmead Street and Meffin Street to stop traffic going through that whole area and forcing people to move into Queen Street, which is a larger road, and there's already a lot of traffic on that road, and buses go down Queen Street as well, so seems to be a more suitable alternative to force people down there.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director to respond.
Through the Chair, probably putting the report into context, I mean, the report that's presented is actually recommending to Council, or the officers are recommending to Council to defer the project until further treatments are done under the Low Cost Urban Road Safety Program. In terms of the cul-de-sacking of the street, that suggestion actually originated from the community through a petition that went to Council, and officers basically went out to consultation with that proposal, and basically the report that's going to Council tonight is actually bringing back those results to Council. Also, in terms of there was another petition that was tabled at Council last meeting regarding the cul-de-sacking option. So the report's basically bringing that to Council. There is an officer's recommendation to not proceed with the project at this stage until such time as the Low Cost Urban Road Safety Program has been rolled out in the potential area.
So I also saw that the petition was sometime around 24, 25. Is that correct?
Sorry, the question is what exactly?
The petition?
That was received or tabled at Council.
Yeah, was that 24 or 25? Is that correct?
When it was tabled?
When it was tabled, it's not clear in the agenda when it was actually tabled. The reason I'm asking is because I've been there since 2019, and I never saw any petition to put a cul-de-sac in. So I'm just wondering which streets or which areas were asking to have that road closed off.
Yeah.
Because I'm directly affected, and I never saw a petition in 24, 25.
So Council did receive a petition, but I'll go to the Director.
Yeah, through the Chair, it was in 2025. It was actually presented to Council, tabled at the Council meeting and presented to Council. I mean, the project originated as a pathway project along Gilbert Street, and then it evolved into potentially cul-de-sacking the road, and that cul-de-sacking idea did come from the community through a petition that was presented to Council.
That's enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Please come forward.
Hi everyone, my name's Carly Bunell and I'm a resident of Morley. My question is in relation to 10.4.2, 1 Mangini Street. The information in the agenda last week sort of implied that it was a temporary measure while they were getting SDA leases set up. As we know, that can take some time. But the deputation given by the director of Inner Green last week said that they didn't believe that they would ever be at capacity for SDA leases ever. So my question is, why aren't they renting out the oversupply as residential tenancies?
That would be a question for the owner of the property. It's private property. The city doesn't have any authority to tell people you must rent out your property to private tenancies.
Okay. Well, was the building was built and approved for SDA, was it not?
I'll go to the director to respond to that.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and thanks for the question. So the building that's being constructed has been designed for specialist disability accommodation. It is approved as multiple dwellings. There's no restriction that only someone with a disability can live there, but they are designed for that purpose specifically.
Yep, that's great. My next question, in the deputation, it was implied that that would be their preference to obviously have all the apartments filled with SDA leases. Filling the other tenancies with all Airbnbs, I just think if that gets approved, wouldn't that work against, wouldn't that not attract SDA leases into the property? I don't know. I don't know if I would want to be a tenant surrounded by 6 other Airbnbs. Like, I think that's going against, I think if it gets approved, wouldn't that be going against what they're trying to do?
That's not really a question that council can respond to. That's a market-led question for the owner.
Okay, so I thought, is the decision tonight not on approving this or not approving this?
So what council has before it tonight is whether to approve short-term rental accommodation under the planning regulations.
All right, well, I did submit my questions in writing before the deputations, and I was called by the governance team, so they are aware of my questions. If they weren't appropriate, it would have been good if they sort of highlighted that. They were in writing for the deputation, and they rang me to say that it's more a public, they're more questions for a public question time. So if they weren't appropriate, that probably should have been highlighted at that point.
Okay. You're able to ask questions, but I can't answer to you. I can't provide you the answer for the question you asked before.
Okay,
It's
no
not-
worries,
it's not
that's
a
fine. Well, they're
council-
the questions that I
it's not a
have.
council.
So yeah, if you can't answer them, that's fine. But yeah, I did submit it as a deputation. I did speak with the governance team. They knew what my questions were. They should have highlighted that at that point in time.
We'll take that feedback on board.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other questions on an item on the agenda?
It's Stephen G, Bayswater. My question's on agenda item 10, 1.1. Please explain what the values noted on the public notice, consideration 1.705 million and current valuation 1.7 million refer to. Is it the sale price of the lot, or is it seems to be well undervalued? Is it the development cost? Or does that mean you are paying 1.7 million to have the block developed, which seems very nice price to make? What profit do you expect to make at the end of the sale?
Thank you for your question. So I think there's multiple questions, and I'll go to the executive manager to respond.
Thank you, and through the chair, thank you for your question. So the price that was listed as part of the public notice is the market valuation for the lot itself, and that was undertaken by CBRE, and the date of that valuation was the 13th of February 2026. They've advised that the market value of the site is $1.7 million.
Did you have another question in there?
Well, that says the market value. What is the sale price? Is the sale price 1.705, $5,000 more?
So I'll go to the executive manager.
Thank you. The disposition of this property relates to the subdivision and sale of individual lots. So the price that's listed as part of the public notice is what the market value of the site is currently, with the intent to subdivide and then sell. The intention is for the city to accumulate more than $1.7 million through the subdivision and sale of the sites.
So what are you paying 1.705 million for?
Thank you for your question, and I'll go to the executive manager.
Thank you. The city is not paying $1.7 million. The city currently owns the site in freehold. The city is required under the legislation to obtain a market valuation of the site for the purposes of public notice period in terms of the city's intent to dispose of the site. The city doesn't currently know what the value of the sites will be individually. However, it does assume that it will be more than what the current market valuation is. So, Chair, just to be clear, the market valuation of the site is 1.7 million. The city is not paying that. The purpose of the disposal is to subdivide and sell the lots individually to make more than what the current market value is.
Thank you. Right. How was the developer 3 Leek Street Proprietary Limited appointed as the partner developer? And what is the standard procedure for council-owned property developments in terms of advertising to the public? Confirmation that there is no conflict of interest and confirmation there is not a more profitable option for the City of Bayswater.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the question. With respect to the development manager, that was an unsolicited offer that was placed to the city. The city then reported that through to council to make an assessment as to whether that is an offer that they wish to proceed with. In order to proceed completely with the proposal that's put forward by the development manager, the city must undertake a public notice period, which is what it has undertaken as part of the Local Government Act. That public notice period has now ceased and those submissions are put forward to council tonight for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Please come forward.
Hi, we're both limping here, sorry. Stand and hold. I'm Jeanette G and I'm a resident of Bayswater and I live directly adjacent to Lot 3 Leek Street. I note that the public notice given was regarding a proposed management agreement with 3 Leek Street Proprietary Limited. So I'm really surprised that the queries raised by adjoining residents regarding development of the block have been dismissed as not pertaining to the matter of hand. Simple questions such as how many blocks will there be, will they exit onto Leek Street, will it require modifications to Leek Street because it's on a bend, will council and developer communicate with residents, are all pertinent and unanswered. The notice was not purely regarding disposal of the land, as we've repeatedly been told. It's clearly about partnering with a developer.
Sorry to interrupt.
So that's it. The question is now, all right? It's clearly about partnering with a developer. With this in mind, why has a development been proposed with no information about the intended development? What exact subdivision layout is proposed for 154 Leek Street? And, you know, it's really hard to comment and give information last week when we didn't have even a map to have a look at it, which land was going to be sold off.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Thank you, and through the Chair, thank you for your question. So the process that's currently being undertaken is solely for the disposal of the site in accordance with the Act. Matters relating to subdivision and future development applications that could occur on the site will go through their own statutory processes and will sit within that framework. What is currently being considered is the disposal of the site only.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we ring council for information, we're given information from people, oh, there's going to be this many lots, there's going to be this many, lots of different information. So I guess my question is, does anyone have answers to these at this stage, or were people just making it up?
I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Thank you, through the Chair. So the site is currently zoned R25. So based on what is currently permitted in terms of subdivision, 5 or 6 lots could be contemplated on the site, and that's what's currently being considered, consistent with the zoning.
Okay. So my next question is regards to the notice given, and the question is why the city was not more transparent in the notification of intent to dispose, develop of the lot. And I asked this question of one of 10 very disappointed residents who thought we'd established a working relationship with council last year. Yes, it was advertised on the website, but nothing was, residents weren't given any information. We found out by accident that it had happened because we don't read the website all the time. Nothing placed on the land, nothing in our letterboxes. So why weren't we given information?
I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Thank
Thank you. Through the chair, we'll take that feedback. The public notice was undertaken in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act, but we'll take that feedback moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, because I don't think it was given in good grace, considering the commitment that council made last year to consult with us if anything was going to happen to that land. And I guess that leads me to my third question. Will the council commit to being transparent and consultative if the development proceeds? Because we'd like to work with you to make sure that it's workable for both parties.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll take that on notice, and depending on what council's decision is tonight, then we'll liaise with the residents.
That would be great, because we're all really keen to work well with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Good evening, Guy Lanza Cariccio, 3 Neville Street, Bayswater. I'm also on the same topic with the disposal of land. From the map that was provided to us today, it seems the residential blocks which will extend all the way down to the car park, and hence create a very strange vista and residential block bounded by car park, parks, road and other residents. Is this what's intended with that with the development? Or will the land end to the parks and recreation included to triangle the land adjacent to the car park? The other maps, the size of the block of the land is 2,562 square metres. How much is ceded to parks and recreation, and how much is to the developed area?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Do we have a map so everyone can see, or?
If we don't have that ready to go,
I mean, it wasn't ready last week, yeah.
sorry, we don't have those maps. The map is.
Oh, that's
are you
fine. I just thought
referring-
everyone could see it. That's fine. No problems.
So I'll go to the Executive Manager.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. So the site is approximately 2,563 square metres. Of that, only 1,971 square metres is developable, because the remaining is parks and recreation. As part of any subdivision, if it were to occur on the site, that would be subdivided to the Crown for the purposes of parks and recreation. And that's mostly the car park area itself, and I believe there was an image or a map that was circulated to the residents today. In terms of the site, it is an unusual shaped site when you exclude the car park area, which is also what was considered by the valuers as part of the valuation of the site. In addition to it being triangulated towards that Parks and Recreation Reserve, there is also a remnant 44 square metre portion of the site that sits adjacent to a sewer easement on the top of it, which again lends itself as to why the valuation was what it was as well. So it is not a straightforward rectangular site.
Okay. My question was more towards the park end. The sewer end is up the other end, up towards the neighbour 152.
Thank you. Through the chair, I was referring to the park end initially, but in terms of what the development interaction would be to the park, that would be something that would be dealt with at a later stage as part of a planning application process for any residential dwelling. In terms of the subdivision layout, that hasn't been finalised. There hasn't been a decision yet of council for the disposal in order for that to be finalised. So any subdivision layout would contemplate what is around it as well.
Right. Okay, just another question. Has the city assessed the likely property value impact to adjoining homes, the future buildings at 154 Leake Street block, and sustainably reduce existing park and river views? Before disposing of public land at 154 Leake Street, will the city confirm how it has balanced the financial benefits of the sale against amenity views, privacy and property value impacts adjoining affected residents?
Thank you for your question.
That's me, yep.
Would you
Thank
like
you.
a response? I'll go to the Executive Manager.
The matter is being considered by council this evening.
Thank you. We can't answer that question because there hasn't been a decision by council. That's like down the track. That's.
So you make a decision, then you see how it affects values of properties once the decision's made. Is that what you're saying? Because that was pretty much my question.
I'll go to the executive
if
manager.
that makes sense.
So council's been provided with the information for the assessment of whether the disposal is appropriate or not, and that will be a decision before council this evening. In terms of property values, that has been noted as a submission as part of the responses from residents. However, council will need to balance the entire disposal accordingly.
Right. So
Thank
you're
you.
saying it'll be a balanced decision on all parts. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Yeah, hi. It's same topic, agenda 10.1.1. My name is Babel, and we live on 152 Leek Street, so the property just across from 154. So my question is, first one, has the city considered the existing approved development at 152 Leek Street under DA 24-0495 before progressing the proposal of the disposal of the land, 154 Leek Street? And how will the city ensure the future development at 154 Leek Street does not conflict with the approved balcony, glass balustrades, outdoor living area, retaining privacy and boundary treatment for 152, which the DA has already been approved?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the executive manager.
Thank you, through the chair. I believe the city's officers had provided a response in relation to the development application, and any further information I would have to take on notice because unless the director has any further information. But with respect to the other matters in terms of the retaining and development outcomes on the site, that would be something that would be dealt with in a later stage through a development application.
Okay, so basically you're saying that the city has replied to my email with the 11 odd questions? Is that what you're saying? In regards to the development approval?
That's fine. Should I go to the director?
So through you, Madam Mayor, it's in my area that I look after the planning and development assessment processes, and the should the council wish to move forward and dispose, there will be subsequent processes that would then go through an assessment process that would go through my team. With regards to your comments around the balcony and the like that you mentioned, I'm happy to take those offline and work through those with you and provide further information in a meeting or by email to answer your question specifically.
I did send an email on the 5th, I think, the deadline. I think it was April, 5th of April, from memory.
I think it was the 5th of May,
sorry,
but
May,
I'll
May.
go to the CEO to provide some more information.
Through you, Madam Mayor, on Friday we sent out 3 pieces of correspondence to the submitters which answered all of the questions from that correspondence that was raised at the Agenda Briefing Forum last Tuesday. So if you haven't received that, I'm more than happy to go back and get that resent to you.
Yes,
but
please.
I was copied in on that on Friday. There was 3 pieces of correspondence.
Yeah.
That was different to the email that you sent.
Yeah. So basically, I think what you're referring to was their questions, not mine.
I'll go to the executive manager.
Thank you. There was, sorry, it took a bit of time to bring it up, but there was a letter that was provided to yourself that addressed specifically the items that you had raised and also acknowledged your comments regarding your redevelopment and development application at your site and how the process would be carried out from there.
So, okay, I haven't received it. Can I get it sent again, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Next question. Will the city require any future purchaser or developer of 154 Leek Street to prepare a view impact assessment addressing existing parks and river views from adjoining properties, especially our property since we're right opposite? And basically, will the city require future designs of 154 Leek Street to minimize obstruction of existing parks and river views currently adjoining by the neighbours?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think there's possibly 2 aspects to this. One is, would a seller consider that, and I can't answer that. From a planning perspective, it's not something that we would normally require.
Why not?
I'll go. My understanding that views are not protected under law, but I'll go to the director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. That's essentially correct. Under the planning framework, there are certain matters to be considered. People don't own a view, and therefore to ask somebody to go and spend money on further assessments that aren't a valid planning consideration is not defensible, and so therefore that's why we wouldn't ask it.
I get what you're saying. However, why I'm asking is because it was mandatory for me to put the glass balustrades, especially next to the pool, which I object to because there's going to be kids swimming, but that's a different matter. So the main purpose was to keep the view. But now, why can't we have an assessment regarding the view impact?
So I think the director has already answered why we don't mandate the view assessments, because there's no law that requires that to be a consideration. So that question's been answered.
Yes, I get it. However, I was mandated to put the glass balustrades for the view.
We'll go to the director to respond to that, because I don't have information on that.
That's okay.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and this is in the information that was responded to you, so I do ask you to look at that, but that is not the case. You are not mandated to provide glass balustrades by us.
Okay, we can discuss this another time. Thank you. Last question. Has the city considered the sewer easement arrangement, triangular land configuration, and the non-standard boundary relationship between the two lots, or the two properties, 152 Leek Street, and the adjoining land, which is 154 Leek Street? So from the map that we received today, there's two triangles. One that belongs to us, which is 152. That's on the Neville Street, which is the laneway. And then the other triangle is the one for 154 Leek Street, which is on Leek Street. Now, what I don't get, in my approval, which took 10 months, by the way, I had to go back. I had a setback of 500 mil, so almost 3 square meters, to put trees, saying that something to do with the greenery of the land. But then, if you look at the map that was sent to us today, I'm on the boundary of that other triangle. So why was I set back almost 500 mil, which is 3 square meters, for an adjoining boundary that could have some structure on it?
Thank you for your question. I'll have to go to the director to respond to that.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. As I've previously said, I'm more than happy to make time to meet with you and go through those technical, specific matters that relate to your property.
Okay, sorry, I just forgot your name, just so I can remember to contact you.
Ryan.
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 Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions on an item on this evening's agenda?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Matthew Stokes, residing in Morley. Asking a question in regard to 10.4.2 1 Mangini Street. It was noted during and within the proposal in the agenda that there has been no effects to the community or remnants from antisocial behaviour from tenants. However, during deputation, it was revealed police have been called twice on separate occasions to remove tenants after antisocial behaviour. Was this reported to council, or do they get feedback from events like this, or when police are not called but the off-site property manager evicts a tenant?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And just first like to clarify that it wasn't about impacts. It was mentioned around complaints that the city had received. And so there, I confirm we haven't received any complaints in relation to the operation of this. Whilst there may have been incidents that occur at the property, there were no complaints made to the city.
Sure. No worries, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this evening's agenda? Please come forward.
Good evening, my name is Tamina Stokes, residing in Morley. It's in relation to 10.4.2. Has there been any adjustments to this application, given the presence of more than 200 primary school children adjacent to the site? People with disability residing in the property itself, there appears to be no specific considerations within this application for additional preventative or reactive supports that may be required to provide these groups with equitable amenity, safety and security compared to able-bodied adult neighbours, specifically within the management plan.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the question. So with the recommendation, so the matter has been considered by Council and the officers have recommended that a condition be imposed that a management plan form part of that approval, and then the management plan would need to then outline the operations of the use on the site.
Okay. So can I just clarify that it's able-bodied adult centred and that there's no additional provisions that have been given for vulnerable communities such as SDA applicants and children, so there's nothing that has been added to that to allow equitable access to that management plan?
I'll go to the Director.
Thanks for clarifying. So it is important to understand this is a development application under the local planning scheme. A condition outlining the operational management plan is required to be prepared, and in the city, officers will work with the applicant, of course, should it be approved and should that condition be imposed, on an operational management plan that is relevant for the site, that addresses the site aspects and individual considerations. So we'll work with the applicants on a site-specific response to the issues that's occurring there.
So can I re-clarify?
Go ahead.
Yes. So the management plan must be given to all adjoining neighbours. Morley Primary School is one of those listed neighbours. 200 children play on that school oval every day. That management plan, is there anything in that management plan or the draft unhosted SDA council policy that requires additional policy or requirements within that management plan that they must provide in order for the children and the SDA residents to be able to access the management plan that this company must provide to adjoining neighbours, of which Morley Primary School is listed? How will they access this management plan when it is able-bodied, adult-centred?
Thank you for your question. I think I understand it. I'll go to the Director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It's specifically part of the recommendation as Advice Note 1 that the school shall be provided with a copy of the management plan.
So it says it must be provided to the occupants. So this is my question, because I was just getting clarification because he hasn't actually answered the question about whether it was yes or no, anything's been added, is what I'm asking. Has there been an adjustment?
I'll go to the Director.
So just to clarify, it's a condition that the operational management plan be prepared.
Yes.
And that needs to be prepared to the satisfaction of the city. We'll work with them on that.
Okay.
And it's specifically spelt out as an advice note in relation to that management plan that it be provided to Morley Primary School.
Okay. That was my one question. Can I just ask one short one after that? So
You've got three.
Okay, so it says that the management plan must be provided to the occupants. The occupants are all the registered children. So will the council ensure that it's not just given to the office? It says that the occupants must be given that. So are they going to give 200 management plans to the school to be able to provide those to all of the children and the parents so that they are able to access this management plan?
I'll go to the Director to respond.
Thanks, Chair. Ultimately, that's a matter that could provide further advice to and work with the school on how to best do that. So open to working through how we could do that.
So the school will be consulted about how that happens, because they weren't consulted in the original. They weren't even given notification that this was going to happen. They were completely missed.
I think they're not missed now, and we're very aware of the school, and the Director's very aware of the school.
I just want to make sure that the policy says that the residents, like the people who are actually on there, are given a copy. So I would expect that that includes the children.
I'll go to the CEO to add some comments.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I think the director's responded to say that we'll provide that to the primary school. What we'll further do is we'll have a discussion with the primary school in terms of how best to get that information out to the patrons of the school.
Yes,
So we'll have that further conversation with the school in relation to that.
Yeah. Will the council provide from now moving forward some kind of, like, the school has not been included in any of this, they just, you know, get the same submission period that everyone else gets. And obviously, like this is a council chamber that requires, you know, unanimous. The principal can't just come up here and speak on behalf of the school. Things need to go to boards. So, you know, the school needs time to be able to do this. So will the council work with the property manager and with the school in order to find a fit for purpose policy that works for them as an adjoining neighbour to meet that requirement to provide a management plan?
So what I
I'll
can
go
say,
to
Madam Mayor, is that we'll give you an undertaking that we will work with the school. I can't give you an undertaking in return in regards to establishing policy positions because we need to abide by the legislation, but I can give you that assurance that we will work with the school in relation to that and give them the information.
Starting from today. Is that
It
possible?
depends on council's decision
as in,
tonight.
of course, no, forgive me. I just mean, like, from this point going back, forgive me, that sounded rude. I didn't mean for it to come across as rude. I'm just saying from the entire application, the school has not been included at all.
We've taken that feedback on board.
We would really appreciate it. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll move to questions not on this evening's agenda.
Okay, I'm Claire Duxbury from Stone Street in Bayswater. I have one question from my neighbour, Steve Hall, and he's also just up the street. Excuse me for reading it, but it's a very lengthy question and I'll have to go through it. In response to my question at the 28th of April council meeting about left-in, left-out configuration at the intersection of Stone Street and Garrett Road, the city said that removing a right-hand turn at this intersection would result in approximately 1,000 vehicles per day being distributed to other residential streets of lower classification, and this was likely to be via Trayland Road. I'm seeking to understand the basis for this opinion. Can the city please explain on what basis it concluded that the 1,000 additional vehicles per day would use Trayland Road? The city has mentioned on multiple occasions that the Stone Street right-hand turn is currently used by the entire peninsula. There are currently 9 streets in the peninsula which provide a right-hand turn onto Guildford Road, in addition to Trayland Road. 2 of these additional 9 streets are signalised. The city's response that 1,000 more cars per day will use Trayland Road assumes that all traffic will use Trayland Road.
Mrs. Duxbury, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know you're asking this on behalf of Mr. Hall, but can I just get the question?
Yes, I will get
Just
to
the
the question.
question
He's getting
without
to the question. He's leading to all the signalised streets that go out.
Okay.
He's a lawyer, so no more. He's paid by the minute. So he's leading to all of that. What he wants to know is, can the city confirm whether it only mentioned Trayland Road because of previous concerns that had been raised in this forum about traffic on Trayland Road?
Thank you very much for the question, and I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I'll have to take that one on notice. There's a fair bit of information there that I'll need to go through.
There's a lot of information in here that I've not portrayed to you. So, yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, we'll take that.
I'll take
and then
it.
they'll be able to respond.
Okay, lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, cheers.
Harvey Tonkin, Miranda. I was wondering if I could get the password for Bayswater Chamber.
The Wi-Fi password. I'll.
Just wondered if it was hidden somewhere.
Not sure who to go to for that response, but I'll go to
Can
the
someone
director.
email me?
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, I don't know that this is ready to release to the public at this stage. If the Bayswater Chamber is actually the guest Wi-Fi that we're working towards, but I can confirm that. And if that is the guest Wi-Fi, I can make that password available.
How?
I can email it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, can I ask another quick question? Executive manager, is that a new position? Or I've never heard it before, so I just wondered.
I'll go to the CEO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have a number of positions within the organisational establishment, Mr Tonkin. So we've got directors, we've got an executive manager, and we also have managers, and we also have service managers as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on items not on the agenda?
Yep, Matt Duxbury from Stone Street. Signalisation down there at Garrett Road on Stone. I provided a fairly substantial report, which I'd spent many hours researching, and added in the GHD material into that report and bringing it together. So my question was, I'd sent it to Council for review. It's got a bunch of questions in it, and so my question is it being reviewed, and will it be responded to in terms of the issues that it's raised?
Thank you very much for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Yeah, through the chair, with the Stone Street intersection with Garrett Road, that project was out for community consultation, as you know. Though that community consultation's closed and all that information, and we've had a lot of information come in, a lot of questions, a lot of comments. That is all being compiled and will be presented to council at a future meeting. The comments and questions that you've raised will be part of that, considered as part of that consultation process and all the information that we've collected through that process.
Yep. Okay, thank you. I did a lot of street walking up Stone Street, Queen Street, Mill Street, and Frinton over the way. I didn't go off those streets, and we've got 47 people on our WhatsApp thing on that particular issue. So it does have a high level interest. On behalf of the Mill Street people, there was a consistent response from people up and down that street about traffic, accidents, parking up and down the streets, crests that were difficult to see over, that were presenting accident propositions. The entry to the street off Guildford is apparently a hot spot. The intersection with Frinton is quite dangerous. One of the neighbours there had a car end up in the road because people come down there and they're coming down the hill. So when the question is, how has that been taken into account, those service roads on that side, and what that's going to mean by the impact of the signalisation?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, as mentioned earlier, we've just gone through a community consultation process. We are basically going through all that information that we've received, and I mean, the consultation was about the signalisation, also the left in, left out changes to those other streets in the area. If there's other issues that are raised through that consultation that we're made aware of, we'll take that into consideration, whether that's treated as part of this project or is treated separately through another means, whether it's another project or something we can tackle straight away. We'll do that, but that will all be considered as part of this process that's being compiled at the moment.
Thank you. Yeah, the third question is, and it's along the same theme, by freedom of information, we actually got some useful information about road speeds, numbers, average speeds, 85 percentiles and the rest of it. But it was pretty limited to 2 or 3 streets. It didn't go to what is feeding the traffic in Stone Street. It's under 3,000 vehicles per day at the moment. My guess is, by even being out in the middle of the night and coming back through the tunnel, some guy followed me, or person, car, all the way through there, came down through the back streets and did a right-hand turn out of Stone Street across Garrett Road Bridge. There's just oodles of cars coming from the other side. So my question is, do you know where the traffic is coming from? Because at the moment, you're treating it like a local distributor, and that's feeding further afield. We have Queen Street just up the way. It's a local distributor, but you've made that not a local distributor in the way you're dealing with it. Frinton over the other side's a local distributor, but Williamson up the other end has probably got more traffic than that. So there's inconsistencies in the road treatment, and my question is, have you got the traffic data to know what's happening?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director.
Through the Chair, I mean, the traffic information we do have is collected via different means. So we do have traffic counters out there. We do that on a periodic basis. So not every street gets counted. It's not possible for us to count every street, and it's probably not feasible to do that. We do target particular areas that we know that we want to know what the information is and what impact it has overall. So in terms of understanding where every single vehicle comes from and what their origin and destination is, we don't track all that information, and it's probably not really viable or feasible to be able to do that. But we do have a look at the area generally, and we know that people pass through the area. I mean, the area is permeable, so vehicles can travel from Guildford Road and find their way through to Garrett Road. But we are working on the low-cost urban road safety program. We are putting treatments in the area where we've already put some down Trailan Road, and there's going to be more in the peninsula area. So that will help out in terms of people driving through that area and using it as a rat run or a shortcut through that area, going from one particular area to another and using it as a shortcut rather than using the arterial roads. So we are working on treatments in the area. And as we roll out these treatments, we will collect information in terms of the impact it's having on the road network.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll now close public question time. Yes, okay.
I'll try and make it quick. Sorry, I meant to ask before and I'll be overwhelmed. So, Tamina Stokes from Morley, and still 10.4.2. How can a property operating as a single freehold ownership be treated as a combined property for the purposes of unhosted short stay application, yet then separate into individual units in order to remain below the 12 guest cap? Is the council allowed to approve the application of more than 12 guests for the application?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director.
So,
Sorry, Madam, I'm not sure I actually understand the question.
do you want me just to clarify? I had a little bit of information just for sort of clarity around the question. So, so I've just found the LPS regulations prescribe a maximum of 12 persons staying under an unhosted STRA policy. So it's a freehold residence. So even in the council, in your draft proposition, like for, you know, the number of car parks and everything goes to a maximum of 12 people staying as unhosted short stay. So this is a freehold property. So under the current application, the proposed maximum occupancy is stated as, 4 per unit, but actually it's 26 guests for the entire freehold property. And then also their management plan, if you read it, indicates the intention to permit occupancy beyond this number that's in their application, saying that they've got bedding and things to go up to 6 per unit. So they're planning to go to potentially 40 guests for the entire property. Both the proposed maximum guests that is in this application of 26 and the potential occupancy of 40, which is in their guest management plan, are substantially above this maximum limit of 12 guests imposed under LPS regulation. Is the council able to go over that 12 guests?
Thank you. I'll see if that's clearer for the Director.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you for clarifying. So firstly, the development on site is approved and has been constructed for 9 individual units, and they are able to be treated separately. The application has come in and did come in originally for 9, and it's been revised to 7 following 2 of the units being leased out for specialist disability accommodation. The conditions that officers are recommending is to have a maximum of 2 guests permitted at Unit 1 and a maximum of 4 guests permitted in the other 6 units. That is within the ability for council, within the planning framework and within the ability for council to consider and approve.
Thank you very much.
In one application, though, isn't there a cap of 12?
I'll go to.
I'm just trying to get clarification around that question.
So just to clarify and confirm, there are on site 9 individual dwellings.
Even though it's a freehold property.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
even though their management plan says that they're going to go up to 6, if the management plan that you have attached says that they, with approval, they can go to 6 instead of the 4, if you read the management plan.
So through you, Madam Mayor, what you're referring to is not approved. It's been submitted. Officers have assessed it and are recommending a condition that, condition 4, that a revised management plan should be submitted to and approved to the satisfaction of the City of Bayswater, and then it goes on to explain some of those limits that I had stated earlier.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll now close public question time and we'll move on to item 7, confirmation of minutes. Can I have a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 28th of April 2026? Move Councillor Pittaway, seconded Councillor Ladder. All those in favour? That is unanimous of those in the room. We now move to item 8, presentations. Councillors, does anyone have a petition to table? Councillor Loiacono.
Sorry, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a petition here with 123 signatures in relation to the basketball facility at Hillcrest Reserve, Bayswater. It's a petition to gauge interest to install a basketball court at Hillcrest Reserve, Bayswater, WA. The Hillcrest Reserve is predominantly used for cricket and football, but is a multi-use park including playgrounds for children, being used for recreation, to walk dogs and other activities. Looking for community support to install proposed a compact 1/3 basketball court, mostly the size of a regulation 3-point line. For a point of reference, a similar court size is in place behind the library at Birtwright Park. On the back of the Hillcrest Reserve facility needs assessment report, there is an opportunity to help shape how we shape the facilities. Also considering basketball is a very popular sport and the demand for indoor courts is at an all-time high. Training spots, teams for indoor courts is in high demand after school finishes, and its maximum capacity for indoor arenas. High school gyms are being used. There's just nowhere for young kids to practice. To be determined best suitably by council, please support this initiative.
And how many signatures?
123.
Thank you. And you're moving it?
Yes, please.
Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? That is accepted and tabled. Thank you. Okay, there are no presentations this evening and deputations were heard at last week's agenda briefing forum, and there are no delegates' reports. Item 9 is method of dealing with agenda business, and this evening Councillor McDonald will be pulling first.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. Tonight I'm going to pull 10.2.1, differential rates. And 10.5.1.1, food assessment document. And that's everything.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Deputy Mayor.
Item 10.1.2, the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee membership, and 10.1.3, transparency update. That's it.
Councillor Ladder. Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Pittaway. And Councillor Loiacono? No. Okay. So we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10. Can I please have a mover and seconder to bring forward items 10.1.1, 10.4.1 and 10.4.2, which were subject to deputations? Moved Councillor Letter, seconded Councillor Black. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So we'll begin with item 10.1.1, Leake Street subdivision. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Latter, seconded Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Latter, anything?
No, just to say that, I'm pleased that the residents have had an opportunity to communicate with the city and that there's some open communication going forward on this project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Sutherland.
No, I concur with that. I'd like to thank all the deputation and all the questions. I do note the concerns regarding an amenity impact and all the other and future developments, but we've got to keep in mind this is for an expression of interest to sell this property. All the planning of it will come later, and I voted to support the expression of interest that came late last year, the motion, and it also sits in our land acquisition disposal strategy, and so I can't see any point in not supporting this.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.4.1, development application, proposed paddle courts, additions to Bedford Bowling Club. Do I have a mover and seconder? Moved Councillor Sutherland, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, I think this is another great initiative. I'm very supportive of this. It will make the club more financially sustainable, also improve the amenity of the area and revitalise some unused land. It's also got a broader age range of engagement, brings younger people to the bowling club, so you've got that sort of cross-generation thing. And for me personally, it's a low impact, accessible sport. So once I've finished playing tennis, I can play more paddleball. And just for those around the table, just to let you know that paddleball is one of the world's fastest growing sports. Everyone needed to know that. Sorry? Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's.
Councillor Black?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with the sentiments from Councillor Sutherland there. I just want to raise some of the concerns that have been raised by members of the community, and just in regards to acoustic treatments. I understand that their concerns are valid. I'm satisfied from the development application and from the reporting that it can be managed, and I have full confidence in the city that if there are further complaints further down the line, that the city will take those with the due regard that they need, and can work with the developer and with the club to address those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Latter?
Yeah, we've had a couple of applications similar to this where private organisations are working with our clubs where they get space to do their sport and the clubs get this additional sustainable line of income for them. I think it's really important to revitalise these areas and enable these clubs to continue to grow and develop and sustain themselves into the future. And I look forward to seeing what other ideas clubs come up with to do this kind of thing.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go the mover to Councillor Pittaway.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to have a quick, so I agree with Councillor Latter. Also believe the proposal, along with the mover and seconder, provides a long-term positive outcome for the Bedford Bowling Club. We've seen, obviously, other applications come through. I think it's great for these clubs, as Councillor Latter just mentioned. And although we understand there is, impact in the community, I think the proposal was well considered, and I'm more than happy to support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go to the mover to close.
No, I agree with everything.
Thank you. I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.4.2, Proposed change of use to unhosted short-term rental accommodation units, lot 801 Mangini Street. Morley, do I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to just start by thanking for all the deputations and for all the questions from residents on this item. Appreciate that they do have some concerns there, and hopefully the council can consider those this evening in part of their decision making. I understand that there may be some amendments that may be put forward by the councillors. Looking forward to hearing from those. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sutherland, anything?
Yeah, I'd also like to thank all the deputations. I understand the angst next to a school, but these have been done before near around Perth. I'm supporting it for the following reasons. This land use is fits well into our current planning framework, so it's very difficult to say no to this. I am happy now that they have put on board to have another management plan. I think that is important, and I thank the deputy to bringing that up. Obviously, 12 months is not unreasonable until the NDIS can get its act together. They've already had 90 days on this, and the council has said, well, the officers said there's been no complaints at this stage. I think too these things appeal to a lot of diverse groups of people. There is a high demand for this. It's easy access to the CBD and Perth Airport. And I think for me personally, even though the deputations last week, they were very passionate, our ability to successfully defend a refusal at SAT would be limited on planning grounds. I've been through this twice before, and it can get messy. So on that note, I have to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I would like to propose an amendment, please. The one that people have in the run sheet, which is an additional paragraph in LIM 4, which talks about the revised management plan. That will be another condition for the management plan to say how antisocial behavior complaints and unacceptable guest conduct will be managed, including response procedures, contact arrangements, guest expectations, and measures to minimize impacts on surrounding residents and the amenity of the area.
So that's a new 4E.
Yes.
I'll ask the mover and seconder if they accept that amendment. The mover does the seconder? Yep. So that now forms part of the substantive. Did you wish to speak to it? No? Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ladder?
I also have an amendment to propose. I have two, and I'll do them separately. The first one is to change the approval time to 6 months from 12 months since which governance has.
And we've got as well.
Yeah.
So I'll just check with we'll do one at a time. So I'll check with the mover and seconder if they accept that as part of their. So the mover accepts it, Councillor Black, and Councillor Sutherland also accepts that. So the 6 months will, instead of 12 months, it'll be a 6-month approval, and that forms part of the substantive motion.
Yeah. So just to explain that, can I talk
if
in
you're going to
between
debate
doing
on
my
the
amendments? It's
wait
been
till
accepted though.
Yeah, but you want to debate. If you,
I'll do both and then debate.
In debate.
Okay. And the second one is to add in that no visitors are permitted on site. This is something that most of the short-term rentals that have come to council in the last little while have had that condition. So
I'll go to the mover and seconder to see if they approve that.
Can I just ask clarification, Madam Mayor? That will become LIM 4F just due to the fact that we've accepted 4E as part of the substantial motion. Is that correct?
It would become 4F.
Yep, thank you. Yes.
You accept that? Does the seconder accept it? No? Okay, so then are you moving to debate it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the amendment that is being proposed to debate is to add a limb that says no visitors are allowed. Is there a seconder? Councillor Black. Councillor Latta, you can speak to your amendment.
Sure. So the reason why I proposed this is because of the community feedback that was received and the concerns that people had around visitors or people who weren't properly logged or identified in the bookings. So I went back and had a look at the other development applications for short-term rental accommodation use that we had approved in council over the last 12 months, and many of them said no visitors were permitted on site. So this didn't seem like an unreasonable additional condition to impose, and I think that it would provide community, it's an appropriate response to the community feedback that we received.
Thank you, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Lara has put it quite succinctly. All I'll say is that it doesn't come without precedent, this condition, so I'm happy to support it.
Thank you. I have a question for the Director. Can you please clarify whether this is in fact a standard condition that we have utilised on short-term accommodation approvals in the past?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm just looking through the history of decisions where council has made on a short-term rental accommodation development application. From what I can see, there's only been one case where a condition has been imposed to not permit visitors. It appears from my reading that the other 4 did not have this. It's not something the officers have recommended, and there's only one case where council has imposed that.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak against this amendment? Councillor Loiacono.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. This just concerns me. I just feel like this restriction fails to consider people that may require like emotional, medical, personal support during their stay, including carers, support workers, close friends, family. I just think it's I just think it's a bit of overreach, to be fair.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I can support this, and I echo Councillor Loiacono's comments, and I will add that I think it is really unreasonable if someone, this is especially a building for people with disabilities, some of them might have serious mobility issues, and they actually would want people to come to them to visit them. If a son comes from outside of Perth to stay there for a week and his mum lives in the area and wants to visit him, she will be restricted. I find it very, very concerning, so I can't support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour of the amendment? Anyone wish to speak against the amendment? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a query. How is it enforced? No visitors, just through complaints?
I'll go to the Director to respond.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, very difficult to enforce as well. It would be practically based on complaint, and we would make some inquiries, but yeah, it would be difficult to enforce.
Anyone wish to speak against the amendment? Anyone wish to speak? Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, look, I do too. Coming from a country background, I know people coming down from the country might have Airbnb for medical reasons again, and you know if they got an operation or something like that, they need some support. So, yeah, I don't agree with this. I think it's overreach as well.
Anyone wish to speak in favour of the amendment? If not, I'll go to the mover to close.
Yeah, I think I'm glad we debated. I think people raised some good points. I don't think it would prevent anybody from having a support worker or medical visitors. I just think that in a complex, particularly where you're going to have mixed use, where you have SDA participants who are living there in at least 2 of the units, I think that there should be more consideration for the safety, the amenity, the concerns that were raised in the deputations last week. I think they all kind of feed into this.
Thank you. I'm now putting the amendment to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Latta and Councillor Black. All those against? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor, Councillor McDonald and myself. That amendment is lost. Now you can speak to the substantive.
Thank you. So the reason why I changed the approval to 6 months is because we have a draft policy that is on short-term rental accommodation in the city that has been out for public comment and is coming back to policy committee soon and then to council. And I think that one of the things that I struggle with this particular item, and to be honest, with many short-term rental accommodation development applications, is that our framework is not very robust, and I don't think it gives us a lot to work with when we're assessing applications. And so I would like this to be reassessed once we have that new policy in place. What I want to explain to the residents is that the kinds of decisions that we make on planning applications, it falls within a pretty narrow framework, and the reasons that are available to us to make a decision one way or another are pretty narrow and they are set out. So when we make decisions on planning matters, they're called quasi-judicial. It means that we are meant to act like a judge. We are meant to apply the framework and whether or not an application conforms with that framework or not. In this case, it conforms with the framework, I believe. However, there are things that I don't like about the fact that that this is before us. I don't like the fact that the applicant is choosing to use short-term rentals, having said in the deputation last week that they didn't expect it to ever be fully tenanted with specialist disability accommodation tenants. That suggests to me that there is room for more of those dwellings to be put onto the private long-term rental market. There are plenty of people with disability on the private market looking for accessible accommodation, but those are broader social issues about the housing crisis and the lack of accessible accommodation outside of these programs, and it's not a relevant consideration for me in making a planning decision. Having said that, I think that what I'm taking away from this and from the other decisions that we've had to make on short-term rental accommodation is that our framework needs to be stronger. We need a policy that actually reflects how the community feels about short-term rentals in our area and gives us the right kinds of considerations when assessing these kinds of decisions.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against the substantive motion? Anyone wish to speak for the substantive motion? Deputy Mayor?
Yes, just a few comments on the substantive one. Thank you again to the mover and seconder for accepting the amendment. So we had some concerns around potential antisocial behaviour. So when I asked one of the deputies last week, how can we address it? I heard that it will be good to have a contact person and ensure that they can manage those issues. So hopefully this amendment that I added can address that and will assure residents that it will be looked at. With regards to the location as a whole, we did minimize locations around the city that are preferred locations for short-term rental accommodation, and this location, just to highlight it, is in the Morley Activity Centre. We did try to restrict, that was my position when we discussed the policy, short-term rental accommodation, if possible, in deep residential areas. That is not the case. That is in a core area next to shopping centres and the sporting hub. So I will support it.
Thank you. Anyone, Councillor Pittaway?
Well, yeah, can I make a proposed amendment?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so my amendment would be that obscured glazing is to be provided to all the western-facing windows of units 1 to 5, 7 and 9 for the duration of the unhosted short-term rental accommodation use.
Do the mover and seconder accept that as part of the substantive motion? No? No.
No, because I don't.
We don't debate. So Councillor Pittaway, do you want to go to debate with that amendment?
Yeah, I'm happy to debate it because, look...
Okay, I need to get a seconder before
Sorry.
you talk to it. Is there a seconder for this amendment? Councillor Ladder, Councillor Pittaway.
Thank you. Look, as much as I understand that making this amendment, and it most likely sounds like it'll be knocked back, it's a consideration that with the deputation made last week from one of the managers, he admitted that obviously one side of the building has these glazing for privacy of 3 Mangini Street, and I think the same rules should have applied when you've got a school there with children. Privacy and security of the children in that sense, and not being subject to any antisocial behaviour that could be observed by the children was probably my main concern around this, and why I think that should be considered as an added limb. Obviously, I understand with approvals and through SAT that may be challenged and that may not happen, but I just can ask councillors to consider that. So that was the reason behind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ladder.
Can I ask a question of the city?
Yes.
Has the city had any conversation with the applicant about this particular condition, and if so, are they amenable to it?
I'll go to the director.
Through Madam Mayor, at the briefing session, it was mentioned, but we haven't had any more detailed discussions on this particular element since then.
Councillor Ladder, you wish to speak as a seconder?
Yeah, I'm happy to support this. I think that this is not an expensive thing to do, to put some covering on the windows so that people on the outside can't see in. It's relatively simple. I think it would be very inexpensive and is a very reasonable response to the concerns that people have about being able to see directly into these properties from the school oval.
Thank you. I have a question for the director. Can you please confirm the process under which this property was approved in part of their development application and the building permits? And can you confirm if that included the design review panel process, which is mandated by the city and comes at great expense, and how it got to a position where it is designed in the way it is, and what the implications would be if this amendment was a condition of this approval? Anything legal?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. So the city does have a design review panel. It's made up of independent design experts. This application, before it was built, when it was an application, went through that process. There is a cost to that the applicant bears and timeframe. The panel did provide feedback on the design, which led to it being submitted in its form and being built in its form, which includes the windows as you see them, and including the balconies as well. And that was really to improve visual and passive surveillance, as well as allowing natural light and energy efficiency of the building. So the concern, I suppose, is to introduce obscure glazing now would put the building to be inconsistent with the residential design codes and the planning approval, but is capable of being done. The concern, though, is that the changes to the window treatments could trigger reassessment under the National Construction Code, under the Building Act, because the building needs to achieve a 7 Green Star energy efficiency rating. So that would require the applicant to re-engage the private buildings certifier who certified it at an additional cost. And ultimately, it's for the occupants' enjoyment to have natural light coming into those dwellings. So there's some of the concerns. I think ultimately, if the applicant or the owner didn't agree to it and wanted to challenge it in the State Administrative Tribunal, there would not be strong or solid grounds to defend that.
And can you please clarify what is actually the design review panel and the makeup of that panel, the expertise type of thing?
Yes, so we run a process where we seek expressions of interest from people in the industry, and these people are qualified architects, urban designers. They're not staff members, and they go through a merit assessment in terms of their appointment. So they're experienced, qualified people who provide design, critique and input into developments.
So they're independent?
And they are totally independent.
From the city. Okay. So based on the advice from the director, I'm going to ask whether the mover would consider an amendment to the amendment, that the amendment be included as a suggestion to the for the owner and not actually a condition, so that if we include it as a suggestion and they're amenable to it, which you haven't been able to determine prior to tonight's meeting, that they would then have the opportunity to do that if they're amenable to it without it being a condition that could be challenged legally, because then it's contrary to the building permit and the development application.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm happy to consider that because I understand that.
So I just need to know if you're happy to include that.
Yes,
as a suggestion,
as a strong suggestion,
rather than a condition.
Yeah, very strong.
So you're happy? Are you happy to? Okay. Okay. So the amendment will now be a suggestion, a LIM that strongly requests the owner to consider. I might get the wording from the director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So it could be included as an advice note.
An advice note. And the wording would be?
So if I read out, the wording would be that the applicant is encouraged to provide obscure glazing to all western-facing windows of units 1 through 5, 7 and 9 for the duration of the unhosted short-term rental accommodation use.
Are you okay with that wording? You're okay with that wording? Okay. So that's the amendment that's on the table now. Anyone wish to speak against it? Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Black and myself. All those against? Councillor McDonald. That is now part of the substantive motion. Councillor Pittaway, did you wish to speak to the substantive motion?
Yeah, I can. I think I would like to make some comments on the substantive motion, if that's okay. And obviously, we've heard from community, and I respect the concerns raised by nearby residents in the school. And I'm also mindful that the application has been assessed against the city's planning framework and falls within the building compliance. Obviously, after last week's deputation, I just wanted to say that the safety and security of children is paramount and remains at the forefront of any decisions made by council. In this instance, the officer's recommendation already includes a number of safeguards intended to minimise impacts on neighbouring properties, including the school and surrounding community. I won't go through all of them. So, on balance, quickly, I believe this is this further. Would you say it wasn't condition? It was an advice note. With the updated revised management plan, represents a reasonable and balanced planning outcome, I think, in this instance.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll say a few words on this. So this development is located within an area that was identified in the city's draft short-term rental accommodation policy. When that policy was considered by council, only myself and Councillor Sutherland, who were present at the time, in terms of the new councillors, I don't think were there, but out of the existing councillors, it was only Councillor Sutherland and myself who actually voted against this policy. So I didn't support that policy, but that's not what's on the table today. What's on the table today is this specific application, and as Councillor Latta alluded to in her debate, as councillors, it's a quasi-judicial decision. So we are bound by assessing this in line with the planning rules and regulations, and that's the context in which I need to consider what's in front of me. So on that basis, there is no planning grounds for me to be able to not support the application as it is. And for those reasons is why I will be supporting this. Anyone else wish to speak to this? If not, I'll go to the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to all councillors for their contributions this evening. I just want to make a comment on a few of those. I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor for those amendments and agreeing with them as well. I think that's a fine addition. Likewise with Councillor Pittaway's suggested amendment as well. While I didn't support it as part of the planning conditions, I believe advice notes is the more appropriate place when we consider our planning framework. And I think that's a good segue into talking about that quasi-judicial nature of this decision as well. We are, in a way, stewards or custodians of a state planning framework, and we do have quite a narrow bound as to how we can assess these development applications as well. We assess it according to the state planning frameworks that we are bound by. I think there's a lot to be said about the increasing of housing and long-term rentals available for our residents, but of course we have to assess it according to those frameworks as well. I think the amendments moved by Councillor Latta in regards to from 12 months to 6 months is entirely appropriate and allows for an assessment against our proposed policy. That's due to come back to council for approval. But also the proponent also mentions during last week's deputation that they do intend to have more long-term rentals as part of this this development here. And what I would like to see in that time is for that to increase as well. I think when you build SDA dwellings, that the most appropriate use for it is for long-term rentals as part of that, as part of the frameworks, the national frameworks in regards to that accommodation type. I know that there are, I guess, timing constraints with that and issues with that. So I'm very happy with that 6-month approach. I think it's a more appropriate way to deal with this. I'd like to thank again all the residents and ratepayers and those in the chamber today, those in the chamber last week for deputations as well, for speaking on this and sharing their thoughts. You know, I always greatly appreciate when community does participate in this decision-making forum as well. It's very important for councillors to see that and for the city to see that as well. I think we've heard that loud and clear, especially in regards to the our approach to the concerns around the school as well. And I do hope that the city does follow through with that. And with that, I'll close. Thank you.
Thank you. I now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so that concludes the items that were subject to deputations. We will now move to consideration of the reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn by councillors. So the first item is 10.1.2, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee membership. The Deputy Mayor, you pulled this one.
Yes, thank you. I would like to move the alternative motion that you see in the run sheet, which essentially updates or replaces LIMB. I'm just checking. 3 and 4. Yes, with regards to the proposed increase. Yes.
Okay, So councillors, you've all been provided with the wording for this. It's on the run sheet. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Look, I did not think we should consider this now, any increase, as a result of the changes coming from the tribunal. We advertised for $450 per meeting for the chair. This is the applicants that we received were agreeable of that. The policy will be reviewed anyway next year, and I think that will be the right time to consider any changes. That's it.
Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, I think this is common sense. They were employed on that one. I think going over so much so quickly, I don't think is needed. I don't think the rise is warranted. The present members were happy to work for the current fee, so they know what they were getting themselves into. I just want to make comments, you know, we're a mid-sized council and all these things. I know we always talk about we wanting the best, but I think that's, in my opinion, well remunerated for the work. I do think if members have new legislation and requirements to fulfil, that comes from obviously the government, the state government, or the federal, I think it's state in this case, they should pay the extra. We just don't have the money, so I'm happy with this to keep it as is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Latta?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate to make the change now. I was reflecting on this earlier when the decisions come through around councillor allowances. We don't wait until the beginning of the next term to put those into effect. We bring it into effect straight away. And I think it's fair, I think it's reasonable. It's clear that these people do a really important job. It's important that we get really good people to do it. And I think it's only reasonable to compensate them in a way that that has been set out, and that we shouldn't delay doing that until the next term.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? Oh, you've already spoken. Yep, too late. Councillor Black?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to foreshadow the officer's recommendation.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on this? If not, I'll go the mover to close. No? Okay, I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor and Councillor McDonald. All those against is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black and myself. That is a tie, so I need to use my casting vote. So my casting vote is against, so that is lost. And we now go to the foreshadowed motion that you're moving, the officer's recommendation.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta, Councillor Black. Nothing? Councillor Latta. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor McDonald. Sorry, Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just think a 170% increase mid-year is difficult to justify without a clear value for money resolution, as is mentioned in the Act. The officer's recommendations did not lay out a value for money resolution, and I don't agree with simply adopting the maximum spend. I thought the amendment was a good idea, but I certainly will not support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Pittaway?
Yeah, I disagree with this motion, as the committee fee structure was adopted by council for the 2025-2027 term, and even though I understand that there's been, you know, legislative reforms, yeah, I just can't support it. It just, I understand where they come from in some of these things, but again, it's just government increasing government wages and those sorts of things to suit themselves. I don't think it's reflective of community. And I think if it was a, you know, we talk about a pub test, it would fail completely if you went to someone and said that for a 2-hour meeting, And even though I do understand through the officer's recommendations that there's some reading up and so forth, which could increase that to 4 to 5 hours, you know, it's still, if we just worked on the meeting itself as 2 hours, you know, you're talking about $600 per hour. And I think the community should be aware that these are the sorts of things that, whether it's government or local government, are happy to sign off on. And I just think it's, yeah, disgusting in one sense. But anyway, because it's not reality in the real world. So maybe it should work for local government. Thank you.
Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, ditto. This is not the real world. This is council/state government /federal government, and we're just putting more money on. It did say a band. It didn't say that we had to say that exact amount, and it is legislated. Again, government should be giving this money. I chose not to take super. That was put in the legislation too, or the changes in local government for some ridiculous reason, because we're elected members. We're not. This is not a job, and then for some reason the state government thought it'd be great to give us a super. I thought I can't agree with that. So, given the council or the residents a bit of a reprieve there, I really think this is a bad move. I cannot get my head around it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? I'm going to say a few words, as I have been on the audit committee, and I note that there are a lot of people on here who haven't been on the audit committee, so might not have a real understanding of the importance and the expertise and the consideration that needs to that is required by independent members that need to get on. We are a Band 1 council. Councillors, we are a Band 1 council. We are one of 139 councils across Western Australia, and there is demand for these independent members, because it is mandated that there must be independent members, and there's not a very big pool of the people that want to fulfil this role. To attract the quality of people that we need with these qualifications, whilst there were comments that this is not the real world, these people are professionals and do charge, you know, large hourly rates for the expertise that they have gathered and experience over many, many years. And that needs to be, you know, appreciated and recognised. And it's not just a 2-hour meeting. There was reference that there is some reading, but the chair, I know, comes in before the meeting to go over things with the CEO and officers to make sure that they have an understanding. So they do invest more time than what was just, you know, expressed earlier. So you know, we didn't set this band. This was a band set by the Salaries and Allowances Tribunal, who are an independent body. And I do... I am very supportive that as a Band 1 council, and to attract the right people, that is why I'll be supporting the officer's recommendation on this. And I do just have to make a comment about the superannuation, with the comment that this isn't a job. For the mayor, this is a job. This is my full-time job, and I gave up my career to fulfil this role. So whilst some of councillors may not consider this a job, this is a job. This is my full-time, 24/7, all the time job. So I just wanted to make that point. Anyone wish to speak against? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Just quick comments. So when we talked about giving fees to community and independent members, for those councillors who were not here, I actually initiated that in a motion. I support giving pay for those who come to contribute. But as always, I don't go to any extreme. The middle on many issues is the right one, and this is one of those cases. I thought they should get some pay, but I don't agree with going beyond what was even we agreed on this term. Most local governments, as we received advice in the report, have not made a decision yet. We are rushing before most of them. I was actually waiting to see what they're going to do. So we have all the information next year. I thought that is a good process to undertake. The person who applied knew what they are getting. They were happy with that. We are giving a pay rise like that was not requested, because essentially it's ratepayers' money. And I see that all the time. Those decisions in the end, they accumulate. It's one and one and one. They come to bite, as I say, every year for 9 years in budget time. And that's the message that I see we send to the city, that you can do this. State government allows you, give them those pay rises. I'm concerned. I thought there is a process. It's a policy. Let's have the discussions in the policy committee next year. There is no rush, but apparently there is rush. So I won't support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go the move to close. Nothing? Okay, I'm going to put this to the vote. Sorry, before I do that, there is Lim 1 that requires an absolute majority. So we have to vote on that separately. So I'm putting Lim 1 to the vote first. All those in favour? That is unanimous for Lim 1. I will now put the remaining limbs to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black and myself. All those against? Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor, Councillor McDonald. That is a tied vote. I can use my it's a tied vote. I use my casting vote to adopt that. So that is carried. Okay. The next item that's been pulled is 10.1.3, transparency update.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor. Sorry.
Madam Chair.
Yes, you pulled it, Deputy
yes, I
Mayor.
will
So you're
move-
moving
I'll move the updated officers
the
accommodation.
addendum. Yep. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Loiacono.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I just wanted to quickly pull it and to note, because this is, I still see that as a big progress, and I want to thank the governance team. We are going towards the right direction, minimizing confidential items. I see the difference from when I started. It's massive difference. I thank the officers for picking up my question from last week, and now the city will also will review previous reports from previous years to see when they can actually become public, and that is a great move. I just wanted to note it, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Loiacono. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.2.1, differential rates 26-27. Councillor McDonald, you've pulled this.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. The report notes a proposed 5.5%.
Sorry, are you moving the
Oh,
officers?
yes. Yes, I am.
Officer's recommendation?
Yes, I am.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pittaway. Councillor McDonald.
Apologies. The report notes a proposed 5.5% rate rise, which, while not ideal, hard decisions have to be made. What is very positive, though, and what I'm very happy to support is the 27% rise on vacant residential and 20% rise on vacant commercial, driving rentals to be filled and businesses to be opened in vacant infrastructure, and I'm very supportive of that.
Thank you. Councillor Pittaway. Just your microphone.
Sorry, I do apologise. I didn't mean to second that, to be honest with you. So.
So
I thought he was going against it, and then I was like, oh dear. So I don't know what to do there.
Are you withdrawing your seconding?
I'll withdraw, yeah.
You can do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Well, I can withdraw it if someone else wants it.
Okay, you can't withdraw your seconding, but you can vote against it.
Okay. I shall do that.
So you don't wish to talk? Or you wish to talk?
Yeah, I do wish to talk.
Okay, you can talk.
Just wanted to clarify that, and I do apologise to yourself, Madam Mayor, and the governance team for that. You live and learn, I suppose, on the job. Yeah, look, I will speak against it. While I appreciate the work officers have undertaken In preparing the draft budget and differential rating proposal, I can't support the increases in their current form. A 5.9% increase in overall rate revenue comes at a time when many households, seniors, renters and local businesses continue to experience significant cost of living pressures. And while I acknowledge the significant financial pressures facing the city, including insurance increases, wage growth, fuel-related cost impacts on businesses and contractors, and the challenge of maintaining forward capital works programs that balance community expectations with service delivery, I do not believe the report sufficiently demonstrates that stronger downward pressure has been applied to operational costs and the expenditure within the forward capital works program before seeking additional revenue from ratepayers. In my view, greater emphasis should have been placed on identifying operational savings, deferring non-essential capital expenditure, and prioritising core service delivery outcomes prior to proposing increases of this scale. I'm particularly concerned about the significant increases proposed for vacant land categories, nearly 28% for residential vacant land and over 20% for commercial industrial vacant land. While encouraging development may be an objective, differential rating should not be punitive, particularly during uncertain economic conditions. I would have preferred to see greater consideration given to further operational savings, as I've said, and reprioritisation of staging capital works, which I know we have done work on, and I do appreciate that some of that work was done in some of our reviews, and also a review of discretionary expenditure and a more moderate rates trajectory. So for that reason, I'm not supporting it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Latta.
Yeah, we had a really good business planning process this year. I thought it was really comprehensive. We went through a lot of things. Councillors had a lot of opportunities to cut things, to propose cuts from the budget if they wanted a lower rate. And we looked at possible things to cut and nobody wanted to cut them. So I think that if you take part in the business planning process, that's your opportunity to make those kind of interventions. And if you're not happy with what that expenditure amounts to in terms of the rate increase, then you have to do the work to look into the forward capital works program, to look into the service plans and work out what it is that you think we can reduce the service level of, or what projects you think don't need to happen in the next 12 months. But I think that it's not really fair to go through that process, be happy about everything that's in the budget and then not support the consequence of that, which is how we fund it. So look, this is not setting the rate, this is just advertising the rate, but I just think that we need to take responsibility for our role in the process.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll make a few comments here in support. While I do think that 5.5% is not necessarily the rise that I would like to achieve for residential, I think it comes to a point where we've gone through our business planning, we've gone through the discussions around where we can trim the fat, where we can defer projects to try to ease that load for this year, and it comes after we look at levying additional rates for residential vacant and commercial industrial vacant as well. Just in regards to the rate rise for residential this year as well, this year is, as we all know, is a GRV assessment year as well. In a normal non-GRV assessment year, a rate rise of, for example, 5.5% would be what residents would expect. But in a GRV year where property values do change according to the Landgate valuations, it doesn't mean that a 5.5% is represented across all of the properties. Some may experience more and some may experience less. What we need to consider, I think, as a council, as part of our business planning and throughout the next 12 months, is just the impact that may have on our residentials, residents who experience these rises, and in particular those who may experience a larger rate rise than others. We need to consider that as part of the initiatives that we may look at implementing as part of the budget, but also throughout our decisions over the next 12 months as well to, I guess, ease that burden for cost of living where possible. I think that's in regards to the vacant residential and vacant commercial industrial. I see rates as a way to discourage or encourage action. We do want to discourage vacant residential and vacant commercial industrial because I don't believe it serves a purpose for the city. It doesn't add to our vibrancy, it doesn't add to the usefulness of land. A vacant residential lot means that no one can live there. By introducing a higher rate in the dollar for vacant residential, we do encourage those people to either sell or to build on that to increase housing. I know that there are targets in the state and federal level as well, but in terms of our local role as well, more residents means that we have higher rate payers in the community as well, but also those visiting our small businesses, those working within a city potentially as well. I do know that this is going out to consultation, so I'm interested to see what residents do say about this as well. But I guess I can say to the community that 5.5% is somewhere where we have looked at those, as Councillor Leather has mentioned, we have gone through that process, and that process did start very early on, to the credit of the city. I believe that started early November, I believe. I was about elected for 2 weeks and then I was thrown into a budget meeting immediately. So we do take a long time to come to this position, and all those decisions do land onto a position where we are today, where we want to levy, we're looking to levy 5.5% for residential and 5.9% across the entire categories here. I'm looking forward to hearing from residents on this during the public notice period for 21 days, and looking forward to seeing what decision Council makes in the future. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually have a point of order with regards to one of the sentences that I had Councillor Leather saying, and I would like to get clarification because she provided misleading information to the chamber that no councillor asked to remove things from the budget, and that is beyond inaccurate. So I would like her to withdraw that because it's actually confidential discussions, but that is actually not correct.
Councillor
fair.
Latta,
I'm happy to withdraw.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say that because I did actually provided items to delete from the budget, so I'm surprised that you actually mentioned that. And I did actually give this opportunity from the beginning. So I will not get into that at this stage because those were confidential conversations. So I will respect, I won't name and shame. I don't think it's actually appropriate to do that. I will provide comments when the budget comes after we get the consultation. But I did provide my concerns about the rate increase from the first workshop along the way. So I'm surprised to hear those concerns and those comments. It was very clear, and it's actually on record. It's worth actually checking the workshop summary notes. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this? I'll just make some comments around the differentials. This year's proposed budget would be the third year of which the City of Bayswater's contemplated differential rating. We're one of the last councils to adopt this type of rating method. And what I will say is that one of the purposes was to encourage development on vacant residential and commercial land. And within the first 2 years, we've seen two of the largest lots in the City of Bayswater, one being the Bunnings site in Morley and a second vacant lot being on Wasley Road in Morley that has been vacant forever. Both of those within the first 2 years have been sold, and after being held tightly by those owners for decades, they've sold it, and it will now result, particularly the one in Morley being residential, it is resulting in residential lots being created and homes being built for people, and the Bunnings site in Morley sold, and there will be a business activation on that site instead of having it fenced off and vacant for years. So that's a really good outcome for this type of approach for our city. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, rate rises stink, and it took me a while to come around to this, but a couple of interest rate rises from the RBA in our city's budget is underwater, so I have to grit my teeth on that one. But regarding squatting on empty blocks of land or unrented homes, if I could go further to incentivize, I absolutely would. They should be smashed. The city and officers have done a great job with this item, and I support it.
Thank you. I now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland and the Deputy Mayor. That is carried. We now go to item 10.5.1.1, internal audit, food business inspections. Councillor McDonald, you've pulled this one.
I will be not
You've
carrying
pulled it
forward.
to vote
Yes,
against?
pulled it to vote against, yes. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how that process works. To pull
That's
and vote
fine.
against.
You did it. Right. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this? Move Councillor Black. Seconded Councillor Latta. Councillor Black.
No comment.
Councillor Latta.
Yeah, look, I know that there's been some attention and things said about this item. I will say that there are, I know that Councillor McDonald has talked about this item and I think has some things that he's interested in looking into with the city. I don't think that those things necessarily fall within the scope of this particular report, and I'm satisfied that the city is working on all the things. So I'm happy to vote for this.
Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The officer recommendations in the public agenda downplay what is contained in the confidential report. The agenda notes medium findings. I don't believe that is the case. I question whether this report should be confidential at all, and I'm concerned that the officer's recommendations do not go nearly far enough. The food assessment document itself is not necessarily fit for purpose or as good as neighboring cities. And as noted by the William Buck report that we're being asked to endorse, that is the case. I haven't mentioned anything confidential. I believe this matter would benefit from a policy being drafted, maybe through the policy committee, addressing risk rating categories and further training materials created regarding the implementation of the document. I definitely will not be endorsing it, this report, or the city's management action plan, as the low and medium risk is not accurate nor sufficiently going far enough for the 535 businesses that are subject to it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go the mover to close. Nothing? I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Liakino, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Black and myself. All those against? Councillor Sutherland and Councillor McDonald. That is carried. So that was all the items that have been pulled. We'll now move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 on block. Can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor McDonald. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So item 11 is notices of motion. We have one this evening, however, it's a confidential report and this will be dealt with in section 14 of the agenda. Item 12 is questions from members without notice. Are there any questions? No. Item 13, new business of an urgent nature. So we have one item of urgent business this evening and I'll defer to the CEO to explain the urgency of this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The matter is considered urgent due to the ongoing subdivision implementation and engineering approval processes associated with the Rowe Estates subdivision. Council's previous position regarding the left-in, left-out arrangement requires clarification in light of the detailed engineering design now submitted by the applicant. Consideration of the matter at this meeting will provide certainty for all the parties and avoid unnecessary delays to the current assessment and subdivision process.
Thank you. So we now have to have a motion to accept it as urgent business. Do I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor Loiacono. All those in favour? That is unanimous. And can I have a mover and seconder for item 13.1, access to Rowe Estate subdivision, urgent business? Move Councillor Loiacono, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Loiacono, nothing. Councillor Black, nothing. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Okay, I will just briefly speak against. I was, on council when we considered the left in, left out. I supported that. I'm not happy that that's not included. I think it's necessary, and so for those reasons, I'll be voting against. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, I'll go the mover to close. Nothing? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald. All those against is Councillor Ladder and myself. That is carried. Item 14, meeting closed to the public. So we have one confidential item this evening. Can I please have a mover and seconder to close the meeting to the public, as the information contained in the report relates to the price or potential price for the sale or purchase of property by the local government and information relating to the price or potential price. This information permits the meeting to be closed under section 5.234 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Regulation 4AA of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. Can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Pittaway, seconded Councillor Black. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Councillors, in regard to item 14.1.1, the motion has been lost and Council has resolved to keep the details of the motion confidential. So item 15 is closure of the meeting, and I'll close this evening's meeting at 9:37 p.m. Thank you.